wake up. No more distractions, no more co-host review shows. Just narrating slasher books for slashaholics. I'm done with those damn review shows, done with being someone's co-host. I'm just narrating slasher books for the slashaholics. And when Jason walks in with his machete, or when you cross paths with Myers, or you dream of Freddy, whatever the tale, I'm gonna read it for you, cause I'm the 80s fucking slasher librarian Josh LaRue. Whatever I read, whatever you hear, there's one thing I'll promise year after year: you're gonna get the best of my best, this I promise you. Cause I'm back in that fucking bloody slasher groove. Because the librarian is back in the slasher groove. The librarian is back in that slasher groove. That's a promise from Josh LaRue. Slasher books both old and new, written by me and written by you. Yup, now I'm back, I'm back. No more distractions, no more co-host reviews. The librarian is back in that slasher groove. Just narrating slasher books for slashaholics. The librarian is back. I even wrote my own take on Jason and Freddy. Started with quarantine and then I was ready, so I sent Krueger to space in celestial slumber. Then Jason went primal and the rafters had his number. My audiobooks have crossed 75. Now let's hit 100 and have a fucking good time. The librarian is back in the slasher groove. The librarian is back in that slasher groove. Just narrating slasher books for slashaholics. The librarian is back.
Before listening to this Chapter 1 narration of Friday the 13th Part 8, the fan novelization by Jeremy Terry, be sure that you have listened to the prologue. It was uploaded a few weeks ago. The book does not start at Chapter 1. There is a prologue that comes before this upload that you're listening to now. So if you haven't done so already, please be sure to go back and listen to that. There will be a link in the pinned comment in the description below. Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. The fan novelization by Jeremy Terry. Chapter 1, The Graduates of Lakeview High. A thin fog drifted over the calm water. It twined through the forest floor beyond the parking lot and harbor master's shack as if it had a mind of its own. The sun shone through it, giving the mist a ghostly, ethereal glow. On any other morning, Charles McCulloch might have thought the sight beautiful, but not this one. He stared down at his clipboard with its neatly typed list of names, not seeing the words. He stared between them at the white expanse, seeing his wife's angry face staring back at him from the blank emptiness. They'd had another fight the night before, after Rennie had left to spend the night at her former English teacher, Colleen Van Deusen's house. At least Margaret waited until Rennie was gone to lay into me, he thought bitterly. When had their marriage become so vitriolic? Was it one big incident that caused the great rift, where there had once been a quiet, comfortable love? Or was it a bunch of small things, an offhanded comment here, inattentiveness there, that piled up until the day things had turned into an insurmountable chasm he would see no way past? "I hate you." That was the last thing his wife had said to him before he walked out of the house that morning. "You don't care about me," she'd said. "You're a cold man. All you care about is your responsibilities. You don't even care about the kids at that school. If you really cared about me or this marriage, you would stay home so we could work through this. But I know you won't. You never put me first. You never have, and you never will. I know that now." Her words had hurt him, stabbed him like a dagger through his heart, partly because deep down he suspected she was right. After all, no one knew us better than ourselves, except for our spouses. He'd stood there in the doorway with his bags in hand, trying to find the words to fix things, and was unable to come up with anything other than he had a responsibility to uphold. Finally, he'd mentioned that the school was closing, that he would have all the time in the world for her when he got back. They could go on vacation, just he and her. She had cut him off mid-sentence with those 3 awful words: "I hate you." It wasn't just the words. If it was, he could just brush it off. People said terrible things to each other when they were upset or angry, things they really didn't mean. But it was the way Margaret looked at him when she had said it. She'd meant it. How could love remain in the face of that? How could it not be burned to ashes by the fire in her green eyes? "Mr. McCulloch, sir?" The voice pulled him back from the space between the typed words, and he looked up at the two young women standing before him. They were two of the graduating students from Lakeview High that he would be chaperoning over the next several days. They were part of the responsibilities that were pulling him away from his wife, and, for a moment, he hated them as much as his wife claimed to hate him. "It's all their fault," he thought resentfully. "Theirs and all the others, even Rennie's." The red-headed girl shifted her weight nervously from one foot to the next. "Sir, did you need anything else from us, or can we go?" He glanced over his shoulder at the ship floating at anchor beside the dock and sighed, waving them away. "Go on, girls. Just remember, the shuffleboard tournament will start at 6 sharp. Non-attendance will result in your time in port being restricted once we get to New York, understand?" The two girls nodded and moved past him. McCulloch watched them go and then looked back to the parking lot where more young men and women were getting their stuff together and kissing their parents goodbye. There were so many smiling, happy faces. The sight reminded him of what he stood to lose, and the thought made him sick to his stomach. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a half-eaten roll of antacids. He popped 2 into his mouth, considered, and then put a third in. The taste was chalky, and the bitterness set his teeth on edge. 2 more students walked up. The one on the right was a white male with short brown hair and blue eyes. His name was Sean Robertson. He wore a denim jacket and jeans, and he was deep in conversation with the handsome blonde man beside him. His name was Miles Wolfe. "You're telling me that this boat has a pull with a 3-meter diving board?" Miles was asking. "First off, dude, it's a ship, not a boat," Sean said with a grin. "And yes, it has a pool. It also has a disco, a fully furnished gym, a game room, and a lot more." "Damn," Miles said. "I might just blow off New York and stay on this thing." "You'll do no such thing, Mr. Wolfe," McCulloch growled through his clenched teeth. He checked off each teenager's name on his clipboard and then studied them with a jaundiced eye. "Your itinerary has been carefully planned, and make no mistake, it will be executed accordingly." "Oh, of course, sir," Miles said. He put a hand over his mouth as if to stifle a yawn and muttered, "We wouldn't want to risk anyone enjoying this trip now, would we?" McCulloch glared at the boy, was about to chastise him when Sean stepped between them, looking like a little lost puppy, and asked, "Which cabin is Rennie going to be staying in, Mr. McCulloch?" McCulloch turned his attention to the shorter boy, frowning. Here was another problem that he didn't need. First, he had to make sure all the kids were accounted for, safe, and, above all, not breeding or catching any diseases from each other. Second, he had his wife. Then there was this young man sniffing after his niece like a dog sniffing a bitch in heat. "Rennie is not coming," McCulloch said harshly. Sean's shoulders slumped. "But I thought—" "She changed her mind," McCulloch said, cutting the young man off. He scanned a few lines on his clipboard. "Let's see. Mr. Wolfe is in stateroom 111, and you, Mr. Robertson, are in 225. Sean opened his mouth to reply and was interrupted again by a booming voice from behind McCulloch. All 3 men turned to see Admiral Robertson, Sean's father, standing on the ship's upper deck with his hands on his hips. The former Navy sailor still looked the part in his crisp white uniform and hat that rested on his neatly trimmed gray hair. "Sean," called the Admiral, "where the hell have you been? We've already started early departure protocols." "Be right there, Dad," Sean called as he and Miles moved past McCulloch and up the ramp onto the ship. McCulloch had to repress a smile at Sean's sudden anxiety. He turned back to the parking lot and waited for the next group to approach. Neither he nor anyone else noticed the small cabin cruiser as it drifted from the river mouth out into the harbor. Colleen Van Dusen pulled her old BMW into a parking spot and killed the engine. Through the window, she could see groups of kids and their parents pulling luggage from the trunks of cars and vans. A happy sight. Through the windshield, she could see McCulloch standing sentinel on the dock with his clipboard in hand. That was not a happy sight. She turned to the pretty red-headed girl sitting in the passenger seat beside her and saw that she was staring at the man with apprehension evident on her face. Toby, the young woman's border collie, stared at his master and whined. He could sense her unease as well. "Rennie?" The 17-year-old girl tore her eyes away from her uncle and tried to smile at her English teacher. "Yes, ma'am. I'm really glad you decided to come after all." "Me too," Rennie replied, "but I'm not sure Uncle Charles will be." "You let me worry about him, okay?" Colleen said, patting Rennie's knee. "This'll be a good thing. Personal experiences are what fuel the minds of great writers, Rennie. You made the right decision." "Do they fuel the works of not-so-great writers?" Rennie asked with a self-deprecating grin that died on her lips as she turned to stare out the window. Not at her uncle, but at two people in a rowboat out towards the middle of the harbor. A memory so vivid it bordered on hallucination filled her mind. In it, she was a young girl. She sat across from her uncle, who was rowing them out towards the middle of a dark lake. She remembered frigid water, not being able to breathe. She remembered hands yanking her down. Strange. Her memory seemed to be dull at that point. The hands on her ankles seemed to be both small and very large, as if she'd been grabbed by a child and grown man at the same time. "Is everything okay?" Rennie came back to the present and realized she'd been shivering. Realization struck her then, and she had to bite back a gasp. In all the hustle and bustle of her last-minute packing, she'd forgotten to pack her prescription medication. She could see the bottle sitting beside her lamp on her nightstand, could read the name clozapine on the label in her mind's eye. She'd already missed her dose the night before. Would she be okay for a weekend? "Rennie, hun?" It was too late to worry about that. She would just have to grin and bear it. She turned back to her teacher and nodded. "I'm sorry, it was just a little chill. I'm fine." Colleen studied her for a minute, wondering if Rennie's coming might now not be such a good idea after all. She shook her head to clear that thought away. Of course it was a good idea. It was time Rennie experienced more of the world than her own neighborhood. It was time she got away from her overprotective uncle. "Did you know that I'm giving up teaching?" Colleen asked. "Really?" Rennie said, frowning. Colleen nodded. "I didn't want to start all over at another school since Lakeview is closing its doors. Instead, I've decided I'm going to write that novel I've been threatening to write for years." "That's wonderful, Miss Van Dusen. What's it going to be about?" "A senior class cruise to Manhattan laced with romance, adventure, and murder," Colleen said with a wink. "Or a gothic cookbook. I haven't decided which yet." The older lady reached beneath her seat and pulled out an oblong box adorned with the red ribbon and bow. She handed it to Rennie. "Go on, open it." Rennie untied the ribbon and removed the box's lid to reveal an antique ink-dip pen nestled in white tissue paper. "Stephen King supposedly used it when he was in high school," Colleen said. "I don't know what to say," Rennie replied. "Just tell me that you'll keep writing," Colleen said. "You're the most talented student I've ever had the pleasure to teach. You have a real gift, Rennie. If anybody can make use of that pen, it's you." Tears shined in Rennie's eyes as she leaned over and hugged Colleen. Colleen hugged her back, swearing to herself that this would be the best trip ever for Rennie. She would make sure of it, even if it meant throwing her stick-in-the-mud uncle overboard. Eva Watanabe stood beside her mother's car and stretched, her long legs sticking out beneath her skirt, drawing appreciative stares from several of the boys walking by. She pretended not to notice them, though, inwardly, she was squealing with delight. Just imagine, a whole weekend away from her parents, a weekend spent with her friends on a cruise ship, and walking the romantic streets of Manhattan. Anything could happen. Anything at all. "Hey, girl!" Eva turned to see her best friend, the beautiful and blonde vision named Tamara Mason, walking toward her across the parking lot, with her bags in hand. Tamara reached Eva and leaned against the side of the car with a wicked grin on her full lips. "Are you ready for a wild weekend of drugs, sex, and rock and roll, or what?" Eva, palled, shook her head and pointing towards the car's open passenger door. The driver's side door opened and a pretty Asian woman stepped out and favored the blonde girl with a withering grimace. "Hello, Tamara," said Mrs. Watanabe, Eva's mother. Tamara didn't miss a beat. "Hi, Mrs. Watanabe. I was just kidding, you know, a little pre-cruise humor." "Yes," said Mrs. Watanabe, as she walked to the rear of the vehicle and popped the trunk. "I'm sure." Eva felt sick to her stomach. Damn Tamara and her big mouth. She rushed around to the trunk and helped her mom take her suitcase out. She kissed her mother on the cheek, grinning like a madwoman in her panic. "Don't worry about a thing, Mom. You know me. I'll have a terrific time and I won't do anything stupid, okay?" Eva was gone across the parking lot before her stunned mother had time to say another word. Mrs. Watanabe raised her hand and waved after her retreating daughter and shouted, "I love you!" Eva, walking beside Tamara, didn't glance back. Her olive skin did little to hide her embarrassed blush. "I can't believe you did that." Tamara shrugged, unfazed. "I hear most of the crew are cute and in their 20s. This perked Eva up. "Really?" "I'm sure we'll have no trouble getting them to party with us, especially when I show them this." She carefully unzipped the duffel bag slung over her shoulder and showed Eva a large baggie filled with white powder. "It was my graduation gift from my daddy. It cost over $1,000, but it's the best." Eva felt sick all over again, and yet there was a thrill as well. She had never experimented with anything stronger than cigarettes, and the idea of getting really and truly high intrigued her. "Your dad bought you that?" "More or less," Tamara said, zipping the bag back up. "It came out of my college fund." They were drawing near McCulloch, who was busy with 2 other students. Tamara tried to skirt past him, but was brought up short when he stuck out his arm to block her way by. "Not so fast, Miss Mason," he said, motioning the other 2 graduates by. "Only graduating students are allowed on this cruise." "What are you talking about?" "You never turned in your final biology project, so I've had your diploma rescinded." "You can't do that," Tamara said. "It's already done," he said, glancing at his clipboard and then turning to Eva. "Congratulations on graduating with a 3.9 GPA, Miss Watanabe. You're in stateroom 255. Sure, okay," Eva responded, looking from McCulloch to her friend, unsure if she should walk away or stay to support Tamara. "Look, Mr. McCulloch," Tamara said, "I got into a car accident yesterday on the way to our appointment. It's okay, though, just a bruised arm, no big deal. But you'll be happy to hear that I brought my project with me. It's in my suitcase." "In your suitcase?" he asked with one eyebrow raised, obviously not buying her story. Tamara threw a quick glance to Eva, and Eva found herself talking before she knew what she was going to say. "She's telling the truth, Mr. McCulloch. I was over at her house last night to check on her after the accident, and I saw her packet." McCulloch looked at her with an incredulous expression, but then sighed. Unlike Tamara, Eva had never given him a reason not to trust her. "Fine," he said. "But if it mysteriously disappears en route, I'll have you sent back home the minute we dock, understood?" "Perfectly," Tamara said. She took Eva by the arm and dragged her past McCulloch before he could change his mind. "That was close," Eva whispered. "No kidding," Tamara said. "What a prick." "Keep your voice down," Eva hissed, glancing back over her shoulder to see if McCulloch had heard the insult. "Fuck him," Tamara said. They reached the ramp and started up. What are you going to do?" "I'm going to improvise, of course," Tamara replied with a wink. The cabin cruiser drifted listlessly on the current, carrying with it its cargo of death. Jason walked through the galley to the bedroom, kicking Jim's corpse aside as he went. He stopped at the window, bearing the dead boy's bloody handprint, and stared out at the dock and the people gathered there. His body went rigid as he caught sight of a pretty teenage girl walking beside an older woman. The morning sun shined down on her, seeming to set her red hair on fire. The dead voices inside sang in a chorus at the sight. They recognized her, and so did he. She'd been much younger when she'd fallen into the waters of Crystal Lake and found him there chained and waiting. He grabbed her foot, trying to drag her down. He would have had her, except that the man in the boat had taken hold of her hand and yanked her free of his grasp. She was one of the very few who had escaped him once he decided to kill them, and seeing her on the dock sent him into a fresh rage. She would not escape him a second time. Neither would her friends. "That's right, Jason," said Mother. "They are yours for the taking. Kill them all, my sweet boy. Kill for Mother." He would. God help them, he would. He walked back up on the cabin cruiser's deck and slipped off the side into the brackish water of the harbor. McCulloch glanced at his watch and then to his clipboard, frowning to himself as Colleen approached. "Hello, Charles," she said. "Has everyone checked in?" He tapped 2 names on his clipboard without looking up. "Jim Miller and Susie Donaldson never showed up. I'm a little concerned." "Don't be," she said. "They probably decided to explore each other rather than New York." "How colorful," he said, turning towards the ramp. "Let's go, we're running 5 minutes behind schedule." "Charles, wait. There's someone else coming along, too." He paused with his foot on the ramp and turned. "Of course there isn't." He stopped talking when he caught sight of Rennie and Toby walking towards them along the dock. He opened his mouth to speak, closed it again. He would have plenty to say, but not until Rennie was out of earshot. Rennie reached them, a tentative smile on her face that fell away when she felt the tension in the air. Sadly, she walked by him and up the ramp to board the ship. McCulloch watched her go and then spun on Colleen, his finger in her face. "You never should have brought her here. You have no right." "And neither do you," she responded, not backing down. "It's up to Rennie to decide what she wants to do." McCulloch scoffed. "She doesn't know what she wants. She never had a stable life until she came to live with me." "And she certainly doesn't have one now. She needs to live." "I am her legal guardian," he said, tapping his chest with his free hand. "Not you or anybody else. I alone know what's best for her. End of discussion." "No," Colleen said, pushing past him. "I think it's just the beginning." Rennie stood at the top of the gangway, staring out across the harbor at the 2 men in the rowboat. Just the sight of them set her heart to racing. She closed her eyes, lowered her head, and opened them again. She was looking down the side of the boat into the gently sloshing water by the dock. "Help me!" "I didn't hear that," she told herself. "Please help me!" She looked to her right along the boat and saw him, the boy from Crystal Lake, the boy from her darkest nightmares, the boy who had grabbed her ankle all those years ago and nearly drowned her. "It's not real, Rennie. You didn't take your medicine. That's all that it is. Remember what your doctor said. There's no little boy. There wasn't then, and there isn't now. It's all in your head. You fell out of the boat, and you couldn't swim. You nearly drowned, and that's what caused the nightmares and false memories." "What's wrong, Rennie?" She nearly jumped out of her skin, turning to see Colleen watching her from the top of the ramp. Rennie could tell from the expression on the older woman's face that she was second-guessing Rennie's decision to come on the trip. "Nothing's wrong," Rennie said. "I just got a little dizzy. I'm fine." She grabbed her luggage and called for Toby to follow her. Colleen and McCulloch watched her go, each afraid that they'd made a mistake. Rennie passed by a thin deckhand who paused in the middle of mopping the deck to watch her as well. His hair was greasy, his face covered in 2 days' growth of beard. The eyes staring from deep sockets were bloodshot and wild-looking. She hurried on, wanting to be away from him, and he stared after her until she vanished out of sight, below decks. A decayed, waterlogged arm emerged from the harbor and gripped the small cruise ship's anchor chain. The hockey mask breached the surface as Jason began to climb. Okay, Slashaholics, this has been Chapter 1 of Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, the fan novelization by Jeremy Terry. Remember, there is a prologue to this book as well. I uploaded the prologue a few weeks ago as a tease for what's to come in this book, so be sure to catch that prologue as well. It does explain a lot of the stuff that happened before the scene playing out in Chapter 1. So if you want to see experience Jason's first kills and how he got on the boat close to the cruise ship, be sure to go back and listen to the prologue. I'll put a link at the end of the video where you can just click on it and go to it. But yeah, this was a great chapter. Not only did we get to meet our cast of characters, Jeremy got us into the heads of Mr. McCulloch a little more, into Rennie's head. We got a little bit more context on the whole trip where when she was a kid, he threw her over the boat to teach her to sink or swim. And, you know, she looked down and saw, like, a child Jason grabbing her ankle. And something I always thought was that she was actually being grabbed by adult Jason, who was chained down there after part 6 or 7. And because this book does take place several years after those. I think the story of Jason Takes Manhattan takes place in, like, the year 2000. So she very much could have been getting yanked down by the adult Jason chained down there trying to pull her down. But in her mind, the story that her uncle and everybody had told about a little boy drowning made her, hallucinate and think she was being pulled down by that young boy that she's still being haunted by now in her hallucinations. I like the idea of her medicine being left back at home. And, that kind of leads to what her condition is with these hallucinations and anxieties. That was real interesting. Jason on that other boat where he killed the couple, he sees her and remembers her. That was really neat. I thought that was pretty damn cool. And I guess he just gets out of these boats and walks on the ocean floor. I don't picture him, swimming or dog paddling or anything. I guess he's just down there walking on the ocean floor all the way to this cruise ship and then all the way to New York later. Hopefully Jeremy explains how he does that, because that's a pretty long walk. Or, I don't see Jason's waterlogged frame swimming or holding onto their boat without actually trying to kill them. But yeah, so hopefully Jeremy explains that, how Jason gets from the cruise ship later to the harbor of New York. But yeah, I really enjoyed this chapter. It was a great way to introduce the characters and get the story started. A little more backstory with Rennie and her uncle and Colleen, her teacher. And, Jason's on the cruise ship now, so I'm sure shit's about to hit the fan. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Jeremy, not only for writing this book and helping finish off the missing novelizations, of the Jason series, but also for bringing your awesome style of writing to it. really enjoyed the prologue and chapter 1. And if you all enjoyed it as well, be sure to click the like button, drop a comment, let Jeremy know what you thought of tonight's chapter and the prologue before. If there's anything you're hoping he'll cover in this book that, you know, the movie had to leave out because of the budget. And I'll be back very soon with more. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is to spread the word. Let people know of all the rare out-of-print books you can get access to here to listen to. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can become a Patreon member or a channel member. You can buy one of my books or one of Jeremy's books on Amazon. The links are always in the description below and the pinned comments. You can get a cameo video from me. The link is there for that as well. And if you want to do just a one-time tip, you can do that through PayPal, Cash App, or the Super Thanks button in the comment section. No matter what, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already and click the like button. And until next time, this has been your friendly neighborhood 80s slasher librarian saying thanks for listening, be excellent to each other, and remember, the sun never sets on those who ride into it. I'll see you next time.
Time to wake up, the librarian is back. The librarian is back. The librarian is back in the flash of groove. It's time to wake up, it's time to wake up. No more distractions. No more co-host review shows. Just narrating slasher books for slashaholics. I'm done with those damn review shows. Done with being someone's co-host. I'm just narrating slasher books for the slashaholics. I'm done with those damn review shows. Done with being someone's co-host. I'm just narrating slasher books for the slashaholics. And when Jason walks in with his machete, or when you cross paths with Myers, or you dream of Freddy, whatever the tale, I'm gonna read it for you. Cause I'm the 80s fucking slasher librarian Josh LaRue. Whatever I read, whatever you hear, there's one thing I'll promise year after year. You're gonna get the best of my best, this I promise you. Cause I'm back in that fucking bloody slasher groove. Because the librarian is back in the slasher groove. The librarian is back in that slasher groove. That's a promise from Josh LaRue. Slasher books both old and new, written by me and written by you. Yup, now I'm back, I'm back. No more distractions. No more co-host reviews. The librarian is back in that slasher groove. Just narrating slasher books for slashaholics. The librarian is back. I even wrote my own take on Jason and Freddy. Started with quarantine and then I was ready. So I sent Krueger to space in celestial slumber. Then Jason went primal and the rafters had his number. My audiobooks have crossed 75. Now let's hit 100 and have a fucking good time. The librarian is back in the slasher groove. The librarian is back in that slasher groove. Just narrating slasher books for slashaholics. The librarian is back. Even wrote my own take on Jason and Freddy. Started with quarantine and then I was ready. So I sent Krueger to space in celestial slumber. Then Jason went primal and the raptors had his number. My audiobooks have crossed 75. Now let's hit 100 and have a fucking good time. The librarian is back in the slasher groove. Just narrating slasher books for slashaholics. The librarian is back. The librarian is back in the slasher groove. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. No more distractions. They my own take on Jason and Freddy. Started with quarantine and then I was ready. So I sent Krueger to space in celestial slumber. Then Jason went primal and the rafters had his number. My audiobooks have crossed 75. Now let's hit 100 and have a fucking good time. The librarian is back in the slasher groove. Just narrating slasher books for slasher both old and new. Written by me and written by you. Now I'm back, no more distractions. No more distractions. No more co-host review shows. The librarian Librarian is back.